All right, another episode. Getting messy back here. Yes, I know my stuff always looks like it's a mess, but I'm actually almost done, so it's just kind of a bunch of extra parts. But so we have the Diff switched over housings. There's the old housing. This is the new housing. Moved everything over. Got the pattern matching what was in there. Won't get into patterns and all that. There's plenty of videos out there. And it seems to always just spark debate talking about patterns as far as what is acceptable and what's not. Blah, blah, blah. But in this case, since this is technically a used set of gears, when I did re-gear to 410s, these were new. So these are not set up as per like a typical initial setup, in that when you move housings. So if you're moving a used gear set to another housing, you need to know what the pattern and the specs were of the old housing, and you need to match that to the new housing. I think I said the old housing to the new housing. So the pattern does match. It's probably a little shallower than what I would like. I don't want to move it though, because I want the gears to match pattern so I don't get noise. They were not noisy in the old Diff, so I'd rather try to match them up best as possible rather than get it looking like it should have looked initially. But we'll digress from there. So anyways, carrier's in. I did buy a new roller bearing for in here. Oh, let's get some light in here. There is a new roller bearing here. I did replace the pinion bearings. There was a little bit of wear that I just didn't like on, I believe the outer. I don't remember which one, but one of them just looked a little, like I just didn't like the bearing wear, so I just went ahead and replaced the pinion bearings. We got a new crush washer, new nut, new seal, flanges back on, wiring is repinned. Those that don't know, you can depin these when you pull the carrier. I mean, you have to, because you got to be able to pull it out to be able to pull the carrier out. But there's a little kind of gray looking thing in there. It's going to be kind of hard to show, but you can essentially stick a small screwdriver, and if you can pop that gray thing out, then you can use those little pin things to depin the two terminals, and then you can pull it out. I do mark it so that I pin them back, but I think this is just a circuit that you just, when you throw power, it's a power and ground, and it just activates the locker. Those that don't know, I don't even know if I've gone into this before. This is an ZR2, so this is what an E-locker looks like for those that don't know. Basically, you hit your locker button, sends power to here. This is an electromagnet. There's this little fork that keeps this thing from spinning. This part spins. This part here spins with the carrier, as you can see. And when you activate the electromagnet, it will stop this so that this pin can ride up this ramp. And then that pin in turns pops a gear back inside of here, and then that activates the locker and basically locks the spider gears, which are in here, which then allow both axles to spin, hence locking. Those that have never seen the inside, this is actually where the four-wheel drive actuator sits. Here's the four-wheel drive actuator. I did take this apart, new thread sealant. I did put a new fork on here. The fork was still from when I had the mud in there. So I went ahead and put a new fork in. I put a new, so this has actually got a kind of weird name, and it's kind of a weird part to find. They call it a clutch sleeve gear. I mean, technically that's what it is. The fork rides on here. When you engage four-wheel drive, it spins. I mean, not spins. The fork moves it to where it basically rides on both of these. And then that's what turns on four-wheel drive. So as you can see, not four-wheel drive. It can spin, but it's not engaging the CV, which I just have the inner on. Engage four-wheel drive, this spins over. Now you're spinning in four-wheel drive. I should say actually this spins with the wheel. This is not spinning. But yeah, so that's kind of how your four-wheel drive works. This is... So I don't know the specific nomenclature, but I call this side the stub axle because this axle goes all the way through here into the carrier. I just kind of call this like a nub axle. It's like, basically it's about this big. Slides in behind, there's a bearing in here. Slides in behind that bearing, there's a bushing, a spacer, and then a snap ring that holds it in. And then, if you remember, I had that play. I'm not feeling as much play as I did before now that it's all fully assembled. If you remember, the whole reason I went on this is because this bushing right here that the stub axle rides on, I had quite a bit of play right there. And on the old housing, there was actually a little groove that had been worn into it. Let's grab the old, see if we could see this thing. These are aluminum, so they're pretty easy to kind of fling around. But yeah, let's take out some rags here. Not sure if you can see in there. It's kind of hard to see. You can kind of see the discoloration difference. You can see where it's dull on that side and a little shinier on that side. There's actually an indentation there where it changes. You can kind of see it on this one right there. You can see that little lip where it looks like that had been worn down, probably from the mud. Whether or not that's the vibration issue, we'll soon find out once I get this thing back in. But yeah, we're kind of working on that. So one of the things that's kind of slowed me down, I would have this thing back in there, but I still got to pull that off. I do have the 589 diff drop that will replace these, but I need these just in case. Those that don't remember, I actually dropped the cross member here, so the 589 might be at some funky angles to where I may not be able to utilize it. If not, I'll put those back on with the diff drop I had on before. But let's see. I kind of wanted to show this inner workings, you know, testing this out. This is all assembled. The only issue is, so I forgot to order the seals for this and this. Because I had to order those, I went ahead and ordered a new gasket for this. My old gasket, I could probably reuse, but it's only like $3. So since I had to order the seals that I forgot, I figured I'd go ahead and just buy that as well. So next weekend, I should have those. We can put the seals on. I'll put the cover back on, put a little bit of fluid in it. I usually put a little bit of fluid while it's like this, and then I'll put the cover on, and then I'll mount it and then top it off. It's just easier. Let's see. But yeah, we'll go ahead and run the 589. I'll go ahead and mount the diff by itself. Like, I won't reinstall anything else, and then I can kind of check and see what those bushings on the 589 brackets look like, and if they look like we're at a good angle and we're still okay with where we have this dropped, then I'll go ahead and run the 589s. If not, then we'll just throw the stock ones back on. Let's see what else. Yeah, this housing did not come with anything. I mean, I had to move over everything. I ended up having to buy a new vent tube. There's the vent tube. I sealed it here just to kind of make sure it's nice and watertight. But yeah, we put some sealant on there just to make sure. Let's see what else. Yeah, the drain plugs, those all have to be moved over so the cover and everything's there. Yeah, I did replace the fork here, so this is new. Actuator is, all the rest of it's from the previous. Nothing looked worn, really nothing to wear from the mud. But right now we should have everything in the diff should be brand new except the carrier from the mud. I did take this apart though previously and cleaned everything, you know, cleaned all the locker gears and everything. None of that should be causing the vibration if there was something messed up. So I think we're all good there. But as of now, we have obviously new ring and pinion, new bearings, another new bearing here. We'll have new seals. We have the new clutch sleeve, mini axle, stub axle. All these are new. The bearing on this side's new. Those that don't know, this bearing is actually different than this bearing. I think I covered that in an old Nitro video, complaining about them. They do not include this bearing, but they include this bearing. But you have to remove that side to get the carrier out, but you do not have to remove this side to get the carrier out. So not really sure why they do that, but there's enough of me complaining about it in previous videos. But yeah, so right now we're going to keep this pretty much like this till next weekend. I would have been done with this sooner, but I've had some other vehicle issues. I actually had to do some repairs on the daily. I had an oil, actually it was a PCV leak that was leaking oil vapor, but had to deal with that, so that kind of took a weekend or two away. I don't think I've done anything new here. We're still pretty much good here. I mean, we're just waiting for the suspension to get in. I do have all my fittings now to finish my PCV setup. So I still have to mount the new catch can on the existing plate here. I'm going to put it in the same spot. I think I covered that already. But I have all the fittings for it. I have all the nice new one-way check valves and everything I'm going to put on this. So yeah, once I'm kind of waiting for this thing to get on the ground. It's just a little easier to work with because right now it's kind of jacked up in the air. So the plan next weekend is once I get those seals, I can put the seals in there. We'll mount the diff, check some angles with the 589 kit to see if I have to switch those out before I go ahead and reassemble anything. Get that figured out, reassemble. I'll put the whole front suspension back on. Once the diff's on, I can put everything back together. We'll get this thing on the ground, and then I'll go ahead and route my PCV setup, and we'll be ready for a test drive. Oh, I do have to fill up with coolant so I can put the belt back on. So that'll be done next weekend. I think that's pretty much it. I kind of wanted to give an update because it had been a few weeks, and I kind of want to try to do an update at least once a month at a minimum. Even if I can't get too much work done, but yeah, we're getting there. This thing just took a little while, mainly because of just getting time to do it, really. I mean, it wasn't too difficult to move everything over. It was more just getting the time and getting the parts. I did have to wait a little while, like the vent pipe or the little vent tube took about 2 weeks to come in. Um, Most of the other stuff came pretty quick. I think it took about a week for me to get this. This is actually on Rock Auto, but it's has a picture of something completely different. I took a risk because everywhere I saw the same picture, but I could not find this pictured anywhere, so I went ahead and ordered it anyways, and that's what it is. Here's the old one. This is the old. You can see it's got, I mean, there's a little bit of play in there, but I don't really know how really worn it was. I haven't measured anything, but figured I'd do all new. I mean, it was quite a bit of mud in there. Who knows how long it was in there? How long? I mean, based on how long it was in there, depends on how long I ran it with mud in there, just basically wiping everything out. So I figured, while I had it apart this time and we're going to an all new housing, we'll make sure everything in it is new that could have had any type of wear whatsoever from the mud. So I think that's good for now. I'm going to go ahead and clean up for the day. In case anybody asks, this is just a steel plate for my magnet to check backlash. The housing is aluminum, so it is not magnetized. So if you have a magnetic base to run your dial indicator to check backlash, it will not stick to this. So I just have a little plate here that I have a couple holes in. Use it on different aluminum housings, and then can magnetize to that so that I could check backlash. So that's why that is there, if you are wondering. All right, well, I'll end it right here, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.